Welcome, guys. You're here at Ace Your Health Podcast. We have a community, Ace My Health community. Thank you for joining the community and being part of it. My name is Dr. Choksy, Ace, here at Ace Integrative Health. Thank you for joining us in Mason, Ohio. Well, from wherever you are. Today, we have Kaylee Koozer. She's continuing to join us, and we're blessed to have her. We're going to continue our topic on nutrition. She's our nutrition expert. And we started talking about water a couple of weeks ago. And, we left off saying that we're going to show all of you guys how to make water alive again. Basically from having a dead water to a live water, unstructured to structured. How do you manifest with water? So that's what you're going to learn today. We're going to show you. We have a little demo. We'll definitely show you. But let's just recap a little bit, since you may or may not have heard what we talked about last time. Is water that we're getting it in our cities and our townships that comes through our pipes, through the water restoration systems or our municipal water systems. So what's the difference between having municipal water compared to well water? What do you think is better? And what are the differences? What are we still getting with municipal water that we may or may not be getting with well water?
So with well water, it's a little bit harder to tell unless
or stream water.
Yeah, unless you're testing your local well or whatever. But with a recycled water, municipal water is essentially recycled sewage, which we kind of touched on, which isn't the best. It goes through a filtration system that is seemingly pretty thorough, but at the end of the day, there are still going to be remnants of fluoride, remnants of lead, microorganisms, MTBE, which is rocket fuel. Doesn't sound like something you want.
4-letter word, that's a rocket fuel.
Pesticides, of course, it's reclaimed water from the toilet. It can have remnants of pharmaceutical drugs, so antibiotics, antidepressants, heart medication, and then chlorine and aluminum. So there's all sorts of stuff that are still making their way through those filtration systems, because those are filtered more on a basis of does the water look and smell clean, rather than what's actually inside the water still.
That is so interesting. So we are expecting, you said all of these things really fast, right? In less than a minute, we covered all kind of these chemicals that we may have just heard of it, but did they really go through your head right now, right? You're listening to this. Did it register what she just said, right? She just said aluminum, chloride, fluoride, pesticides, bromide, rocket fuel, MTBE, right? And other plastics, other chemicals, environmental toxins, and everybody else's blood pressure and other medications. So that's huge.
Yeah.
Right? So we're expecting these water systems, the cleaning systems that we're paying money to with our taxpayers' money, to have the best filters, the best chemical chelation process in our municipal area. How many of you guys have ever visited one of them and even thought about whether those are meeting any of these standards for proper chelation or proper removal of some of the smallest chemicals that we are exposed to, that we use? So that's something that we have to obviously consider. That's a lot. That's a lot to think about when we get these things in water. So well water may or may not have all of these things.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't think about it too, because they'll have everything right in their lives. Like their diet's organic, they're exercising, they're sleeping enough, and they're still like, why am I still showing symptoms? And a lot of people never think to start with water.
Yeah.
And if you're getting all that stuff in your water, you might still have those effects.
It's absolutely interesting because we have so many patients who have amazing diets.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I feel like I have a really good diet. But then when we do our labs to look for environmental toxins and pesticides and plastics, guess what's in there? All of those things are still in the bloodstream, running through in the urine. So, I have those, like I've noticed them. And then you say, okay, how do I get rid of them? And then you get rid of them, obviously, through different methods that we have. But that's something that I think a lot of us miss. And that's a really key point, that we must focus on those things. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and we also talked about a process that we can kind of do to clean our water at home without buying an expensive filter, because not everybody is able to access that right at the moment. So what would that process be?
Yeah, so we said something similar last time. I do this at home whenever I'm fasting. So I should do it more often, but and there are machines out there that distill your water, right? You can buy a distiller machine where you put in water from one side, it heats it up, it distills it, all the chemicals are boiled off pretty much, and then the water is also boiled off, and then it gets recollected into the pipette and it comes out. So now you're getting water, it becomes steam, and then it becomes water again. So, which is really interesting. You can do that by boiling the water at home, right? You can boil the water as much. Obviously, if you let it become steam, then you're not going to get it back. But at least it will bring a lot of the precipitates, like it will precipitate some of these chemicals and toxins at the top of the water. And when you let your water cool off, so I do this at home, where we'll boil a pot of water and then we'll cool it off in smaller pans. And then after 10 minutes, like when you start looking at the top of the pan, you'll start noticing all kind of films, right? Literally, it'll be like a filmy material on top of the water. And then once it cools off, you just filter all those things out in a really nice filter, either a coffee filter or a cloth filter or something like that. So this way, you're able to get rid of some toxins out. May not be all of it, but at least some. And probably boiling it in a glass rather than metal is better, because otherwise you're leaching metal again.
Right.
And you'll notice that by knowing the taste change of water. Like if I boil something in metal, the water will taste like metal. Like it will have a bitter taste to it.
And glass doesn't tend to impart a flavor where metal does. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So I don't know any other ways. Like, I mean, you can buy different filters. There are AquaTrue. I mean, there are a lot of companies that are out there, and there are some of them that are really like at the top of the line, where you can take Coke and it will convert it into water.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah.
And we have one of those. Like the water that we drink here, if you put Coke at the top, you'll get water
out all the nasty stuff and give you the water. That's awesome.
Exactly.
So another thing that we kind of mentioned is that water that gets processed and put through all these things, even distilled water, if we're distilling it at home, it's kind of considered dead water.
Yeah.
Can you explain what dead water is?
Yeah, so when you look at natural water, right, the water has traveled from the mountains, the rivers and streams, and you pick up that water. That water has natural aroma, it has natural flavor, it has, because of the natural minerals and all these things that are in there. Now, when you constrict that water into small little confined areas and you force it, rather than having the water run its course through natural way, it's getting forced through different pipes because of pressure. The actual H2O molecule starts structuring in different ways, and now you're mixing it with sewage and chemicals and all these other things. So the water molecules, because it's H2 and O, H has a positive charge, O has negative charges, well, they're going to bind to aluminum, chloride, fluoride, pesticides, they will surround those other molecules with it. So imagine having aluminum at the center with a 2 plus charge. So it's very charged. It's electromagnetic. It has a static charge. And then surrounding that aluminum, you have 10 water molecules with oxygen. Oxygen is negative, aluminum is positive. So out of those 10, 2 of them will get attracted closer to the aluminum. And if it's not those 2, all 10 of them might impart a little bit of negative charge to stabilize the aluminum in one place. So now you have just changed the water structure, how it wants to be naturally, into something unnatural because of other chemicals, other pesticides, or whatever things, metals are in there. And that becomes dead because we call them dead, but it's basically inactive, right? Your body has to process it. Your body has to, anything dead means it takes away your energy.
Right.
So when you put in water in your body, now your body has to do the work to remove the oxygen away from that aluminum, and that requires energy. So now you're putting in energy instead of getting energy out of it. So
it's taxing to your body instead of helping your body in a way. Yeah. And so what effect, I guess, does that have on cells?
So,
kind of the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
Explained.
because it's going to take your energy away at a cellular level. 70-80% of us is water, right? So it's literally the thing that you need to live. Otherwise, you die. So if you have other things that are holding on to water or messing up the structure, then your body has to restructure it in your cells, or it will not work properly. And we never think about that. We think about minerals, we think about proteins, we think about fat, but we never think about the most important thing that makes us, which is water. Like, that's kind of a ironic thing.
It
because
really is.
Like,
everyone overlooks water.
And
it's like we're made of mostly water. So it's so logical to pay more attention to what you are putting in and what you're getting out. So I wanted to dive in. We talked about structuring water.
Yeah, let's do it.
And why do you have this cup full of words?
Yeah. So let's do this. So we have different things here. There's a process that I teach my patients, and it's a combination of a couple different processes, because obviously I didn't invent all of these things, but the combination together is, to some degree, I'm sure other people have thought about it, but we've been talking about it for a while. Now, we have a cup. It has different words on it: authenticity, love, courage, bliss, different things. So now this concept came from Dr. Masaru Emoto. So he talked about water, and with his groundbreaking discovery, he said if you have water and you put words on it, the water structure gets changed. And we are able to see that water structure change when we freeze the water. And when you look at different snowflakes, water structure is totally different based on the words that are written on it. So what we're doing here, and pretty much all of us do it, we write different words on top of the glass that you're drinking water out of. So if you put some water in here, you drink it, now you have love, authenticity, strength, peace, success, divine healing, security. Like, these kind of different words will create a structure of water, and that's what will get passed down to ourselves. So that's that. Now, there's a whole process of manifesting. Like, that's what we wanted to teach you. We talked about that last time. And none of us are perfect, just to let you know, even though I know these things. Like, we do it from time to time. We do it in short amount of time, and we have done it for a long amount of time as well. And then different things will happen. And we have had patients who have done that. We have had friends, families, obviously, who have done that. It's just been really interesting approach. So we have 2 cups of water. So the way this starts is you take 2 papers, So you have, write down something that looks like this, right? It says Merry Christmas. You're writing your wishes. So you want to write those things. So one page on your left, you're going to write down your current state, right? And before we do that, you want to tell your experience? You did this, right? A few months back?
Yeah. So we were doing it in periods of, I believe it was 33 days.
33
right?
days, yeah.
Where we would write down, like, what our current situation is, things that we might want to change. So, like, oh, I'm stressed, or this isn't ideal, or whatever. Write down what your situation is and what you want to change. Mm-hmm. And then on the other page, we would write what our wish is. Like,
how was your experience with it?
I had some awesome experiences with it. I've been seeing a lot of things that I've manifested come to fruition recently, and it's been really crazy because it's one of those things that you kind of start doing thinking, oh, I hope this works. And you're just not sure if it's going to get anywhere, but you're like, this could be a waste of time, but I'm hoping. I'm hoping that it works. And it does. I'm saying personally for me, it has worked a lot.
Yeah,
so.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've noticed that I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And we have done it with so many patients, and they actually carry this forward at home. And then they start doing it, whether it's for PMS or whatever, chronic fatigue. It's been interesting because those who believe in it happens to them. And that's, again, the power of thoughts and manifestation, because they're changing their own water in their body. So the way it works is, as she said, right, you write down your current state on the left side. So let's say, for example, your current state is you don't have a job. So you write down, I don't have a job on here, on one page. In that same page, in that cup that you have in front of it, you would put some water in there. Just a little bit is good. And you would write down your current state, and you put this water on top of it. Now you have this water that's absorbing the energies of joblessness, basically, right? So now it's absorbing this energy where you don't have a job. On this page, you write down your wish, and you say, I want a job at Ace Integrative Health, for example. Or you manifest your perfect job, right? So you think about a job that you want, and let's say you want to work at a marketing company. So you think about a marketing company. Then you say, which marketing company? If you know the one, then you write that down on this wish list. Then the second thing you write down on there is your emotions. So you're going to write down your emotion. And emotion is energy in motion. So you have to have emotions. Intentions are one thing, emotions are another. Those two of them run parallel at the same time. Just because you have an intention doesn't mean that you're into it, right? A lot of us could be in relationships with intentions, but then there are no emotions there. They don't work. Those relationships do not carry out without emotions. Whether looking for a job or succeeding at a career, if you're not into it, it's not going to work. Right? It's that simple. So you write down your emotions, and you write down your wish. And you can even write down your time. You can say, in the next 3 months, I want this. So once you do that, you take this other cup, which is empty, you put that on top. Then you take this water from left, you pour it in the right side. So now this water has energy that it's absorbing from this wish list. The water is actually getting changed as it absorbs the energy. At the same time, it is transforming, right? It remembers where it was. It remembers joblessness. And now it remembers having a job. Now you can put your hands around it. You can manifest your thoughts. You can put your energies into it. Pray to your God while you're putting energies into it. Put your hands around it, because your hands have a lot of energy of 10 elements. So those are going to go around it. And then after a minute or so, you take this water and you drink it. There we go. So now what just happened? So this water now acts like a medicine. It takes this, it starts a domino effect in all your water cells in your body, so that everything that you exude, everything that you think about is going to be in line with your emotions and your thoughts that you're wishing for. So this is a manifestation technique that has worked wonders for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think another thing that, to pull it together a little bit, if we're 80% water, or up to 80% water, in our thoughts, words can affect the water we drink. Can't they affect the water in our bodies? Can't they affect how our bodies function? A lot of people don't think about this. And one of the analogies that you used when I first started working here was talking about road rage.
Oh, yeah.
So, you were talking about how, if we're super angry at people on the road, we're like, where'd you learn to drive? And, screaming at them because they're not behaving how we want. The person in the car doesn't hear anything we say. I mean, they might hear if we honk the horn, but that's about it. But the words that come out of our mouths, the thoughts that we're having, are only affecting us. And so it can work kind of both ways. If you're thinking positively and you're thinking, I'm healing, I'm living, an energetic life, and all those things that you want for yourself, then your body is more likely to work with you to accomplish those things. But if you're thinking, oh, I'm stressed out, oh, I feel negative about this, and this, your body will literally start to degenerate. That's just because it's full of water, and you're affecting the energy of the water in your body.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I say this all the time, what you think, you manifest. What we think, the words that come out of our mouth are literally changing our own selves. And that's why we're manifesting those, because we're fulfilling those prophecies. That's all it is. You fulfill the prophecies that you keep saying repeatedly over and over again. And it's interesting. Yeah. I see a lot of people. I feel like once people learn that stuff, once they hear about the road rage, I feel like it's very hard to have road rage after that.
I think about it all the time. If someone's being a bad driver, I'm like, do I really want to ruin my own day? Because that's what it comes down to, is it's affecting you more than it's affecting anybody else.
Yeah, that's so true.
One thing that's always funny to me is Erin will always say, cancel, erase, or or whatever. If she says something and it's negative, she's like, no, get that out of there. But that's I'm starting to do that too now. So it's really interesting to pay attention to what you're thinking and even what you're exposing yourself to. Because if you're listening to sad, angry music, you might be more inclined to feel sad and angry. That's just, it's that influence that's going into your head. So
yeah, it's so interesting. There is this whole concept of music, and music has sound, and sound has different vibrations.
Right.
And if you have two tuning forks, if you take one tuning fork and vibrate in one end of the room, and you take another tuning fork that is identical to this, and you just leave it on the other end of the room, that other tuning fork will start vibrating just because this tuning fork is vibrating. You have not even hit this tuning fork. You have not even gone there to touch it. You just hit this one, right? Ding, and it starts vibrating. But with a measuring tool, or even with your ears, you just go next to the other tuning fork. It is also vibrating with the same frequency as this thing is vibrating, which is a proof to some degree that says that things that are similar, things that are same, will pick up the vibrational frequencies of the others and vibrate at the same level. So a lot of humans, a lot of us are the same. We have majority of the same genetics. And we start vibrating with the crowd, the herd immunity that we talk about. How everybody behaves, that's how one behaves. And then one can change everybody if everybody starts following the one. So, which is kind of really, really, really interesting concept. But We're going to have to go more in depth about all of this
Every
stuff.
time we have a conversation, we come up with a new conversation.
Yeah. In terms of nutrition, let's see. One thing that people can do, you guys can do at home, is try this out. Try this manifestation technique. You said 33 days. Mm-hmm. We agree that I think it takes minimum of 33 days. There are times when you may end up doing something for 23 days or 20 days or something along that line, and your wish may come through a couple months later, or it may come 6 months later. But that's because you started the process. You already started the process and you built up the intensity. It's like the more you work out, mm-hmm. the better your body gets, but then you never know when you have to use that body to lift something. It may be 6 months later that you might have to use your body to mm-hmm. lift something, and that's when you say, oh, I thank God I went to the gym a few months back. But normally within 33 days, because of the number 33 has a lot of good significance in terms of attraction and how we manifest 3, 6, and 9. We can talk about all of those things in maybe next couple sessions. So we're going to have to take a deep dive into all of these topics, and the topic of today is nutrition. We're going to ask Kaylee about what our next topic is. There's so many things we talk about in nutrition. Obviously, we talked about macros a little bit, protein, fats, and carbs. We're now going and talking about, water. We talked about, with Aaron, we talked about how to garden some things. But in terms of food, one of the biggest things we talk about is something that now, other than water, something that's inside water is oxygen. And something that relates to oxygen is? Antioxidants. So we're going to talk about antioxidants next time. We're going to look at what it means to break down water, because body breaks the water down into hydrogen and oxygen. And we have to use all of these ions and elements to produce energy. And this whole concept of energy is now dependent on how much is the balance, right? Are oxidative stress balance compared to healing balance and antioxidant balance? And can either of those two things be negative? Yes. Can either of those two things be positive? Absolutely. So with that, we're going to talk about these topics next time. Please join us. Thank you so much for joining today. On every Friday, we pray for you. Please let us know what you are struggling with. We have a group meditation session that's going, and we would love for you to join us. We have a community. It's called Ace My Health Community. The link is down here. The YouTube channel, the Twitter, the Instagram, Facebook. You can find us and let us know where and how we can help you. Otherwise, we will be looking out for you. Together, we're going to create this entire field of energy that is very positive for our health, that will be very precise, right down to the genetics. So thank you so much for joining us. And with that, thank you. Take care. God bless.